So Nintendo Pod Block is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support our family of podcasts, head over to patreon.com/bossrushmedia or search for us on the Patreon app on your smart device. Thanks for helping us build something better. Hello everybody, welcome to Nintendo Pod Block here on Boss Rush Network. I'm your host and light excited Eddie V. Joining me is the one, the only bossman himself, Mr. Corey Derrick. Hello, good sir.
Hello. Ed, you sound like you are not talking into your microphone, but that's okay.
Is this
Get
good
right
enough?
up on it. Get right up on it. Go right up on it. No, not that.
Ooh.
Here are the sweet, dulcet tones of Pow Block.
Welcome to Nintendo Pod Block. Yes. We are going to be engaged in this episode.
Speaking of Pow Block, real quick, before we introduce our guest, there's a Zelda page that said suggested for you, and somebody remade Ocarina of Time in the Wind Waker art style.
Oh, nice.
That sounds
Yeah,
awesome.
and I'm watching it, and I don't know how I feel about it.
Well, someone did, I think, a pixel art jam or something, and they remade Legend of Zelda 2.
Yeah, I know,
It's
that's
kind of cool. I was just like, oh, this is nice.
Also, remember when which one? It was Hyrule Warriors, right? Where they the map was like a 2D version, like as
Yes.
like a OG Zelda 2D something.
Yep.
Anyways, let's get to our guest. Sorry, I didn't mean to throw us off right away.
Well, our guest, everybody, if you want to talk about Zelda, he is the expert, the professional, the wizard, the one, the only himself, Mr. David Wayne. Hello, good sir.
Hello. I don't think I've had that many positive adjectives in front of my name in a long time.
I was thinking of just like he's the person that just like all of us are going to be in tears on May 12th.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, he's gonna have to come back for that episode.
Oh
Totally.
yes, it literally. I don't even know if I want to even be online that weekend.
I've already put in for my time off. Like I have the day it's released and like the week after. And I told my son, like, that's what we're doing. Me, my wife, my daughter, my son, 4 of us are just gonna be sitting around playing it all day long. Like that's what we're doing. That's it. It's been set in stone now for 6 years or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Better not get delayed. That's all I have to say.
Oh, please not. If that game get delayed, we're gonna have like 7 expansion passes before E3, trying to figure out what is happening. What is this theory?
At this point, there have been 2 mainline Fire Emblem games and a spinoff released since the last Zelda game. That's a long time.
To be fair, we could get
Because was Ica's or Fates after Breath of the Wild?
no. Shadows of Valencia was after Breath of the Wild.
Okay, so yeah, 4.
3DS. Yeah.
Because the Fire Emblem the first Fire Emblem Warriors that came to Switch was after Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
And then it was 3 then it was 3 Hopes, Shadows
of Valencia, Fire Emblem Warriors, 3 Houses, 3 Hopes,
and now Engage.
And then Engage.
What was the NES one that they released like for $5 or $6?
The NES version of Fire Emblem.
That one. Yeah, Shadow Dragon.
Yeah.
Okay,
that was the 30th anniversary.
Yeah.
Yes. That I need to start.
That thing. This beautiful.
Jealous.
Nice. All my stuff is in the basement in a box.
This is the basement.
Yes, but you have a basement that you can sit and record in. I have a basement that has a loud laundry room and a bunch of storage.
True.
Yes. But yes, everybody. we are going to get into this episode. We're going to quickly get into Snack Tendo because we have a lot to talk about with Playing with Power. So,
Do
David,
drugs count as snacks? That's about all I've been
yes,
snacking on.
yes. David, what have you been snacking? Oh, hold on, everybody. It's time for Snack Tendo. David, what have you been snacking on?
Let's see here. There was a new Korean fried chicken place that opened up by my work. It's called like Bonchon or something like that. It was pretty average.
It was pretty average.
It could have been better, could have been worse, but the running joke is that I've had KFC from two different countries, Kentucky and Korea. And yes,
Wow.
so but other than that, I had some vanilla ice cream before recording here to soothe the little bit of frog that's in my throat somewhere down there. Just keep that from getting too sore. Yeah, that's about it.
All right, Corey, outside of the drugs, what have you been snacking on?
Pills. No, I
With
so
water.
Friday night we had Chinese food, which was pretty good. The main Chinese food place around here has been closed since the pandemic. They say they're going to open back up, but we don't know when. And it's not like, hole in the wall Chinese food. This is like a big, like fancy Chinese food restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like really good General Tso's and sushi and tempura shrimp and like the whole shebang, right? But they're closed. They're closed. And we got the hole in the wall Chinese food, which is still pretty good. I got the General Tso's with lo mein, and it was very delicious.
Nice.
I really like lo mein. I know a lot of people prefer the rice sometimes, but I like the noodles. Can't go wrong with the noodles.
I eat ramen enough that if I get Chinese, I gotta get rice. I have to change it up. I eat ramen like 3 times a week.
Well, that would do it.
Yeah.
But speaking of rice, I did have Chipotle on Saturday, which was pretty good. And I went in at the right time because nobody was in there. And the lady that was working behind the counter, so she filled my wife's bowl to where they had to like shove the lid down onto it. Like there's so much in there that they had to I don't know how one person got the lid on. And then my burrito. Okay. Dude, so you know how sometimes when you walk up to the counter and they're like, they have just like a little bit of meat left, but it's too much meat for one burrito.
Yeah.
But it's not enough to put like on another one.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
She dumped the whole thing of meat out onto my burrito, went and got the fresh one, and then put more on it. And then going through getting toppings on, I said extra cheese. Dude, she opened her hand up as wide as she could and picked like a whole bunch of cheese out of this thing and just put it on my burrito. And then she wrapped it, and they had to wrap it in 2 pieces of foil because it was so fat.
That's awesome.
I was like, yes. And then I asked for chips. I asked for chips and the corn salsa because I really like the corn salsa. They gave me 2 sides of corn salsa, and the chips were like extra full. I was like, man, I don't know who's working here today, but God love you.
That's a good day.
It was a great day. Like, it was the first time I ate Chipotle and like felt full partway through the meal. Now, granted, I still ate it all. But,
yeah.
But it was like the first meal I finished in like a week though, because I've been sick. But
was you like in nap mode after it?
Oh my gosh, you have no idea.
Doing that thing on the couch.
Well, my wife and we've been watching the show on Netflix called Ancient Apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
It's like one of those history shows, but the twist is that like these are things that people have found that archaeologists haven't investigated, and this investigative reporter is going and doing the research himself on these things. And it's really good. I highly recommend it if you're into like, I don't know, where they go to places and discover things. type shows like on Discovery Channel or whatever.
Is it the Ancient Aliens guy? His hair going.
It's not. It feels like it's going that way though. Like
You're like one episode away from him showing up.
It kind of feels that way, but I know that's not what happens because I've heard some podcasts talk about this show and how they like really love it. But like they like one of the episodes is Atlantis real? And like they give all this compelling evidence that like it is kind of real. You know, was it during the Ice Age? Like the whole premise of the show is like
determining plausibility or something like that,
kind of, but it's like finding a like a technologically advanced civilization at the turn of the Ice Age.
Mm-hmm.
Not like they were using cell phones and stuff, but like they were using tools and, you know, they knew some sort of sophisticated math.
They had a bunch of shrines everywhere, some divine beasts, things like that.
Yeah. He's Yep. There's a flood, you know. So yeah, there's floating islands in the sky. So yeah, it's a really good show. But like we were sitting there trying to watch an episode, and my wife was nodding off, and I was like trying to stay awake, and then I felt myself nodding off, and we both kind of fell asleep watching it. And then of course, like, you know, a 15-minute cat nap, and I was wide awake for 3 hours. So I played, what was I playing? I played a lot of Fire Emblem, but also Disney Dreamlight Valley. But then, you know, my mom sent my parents came over on Saturday, and she brought chocolate covered Oreos. And I ate like half the bag, and it's not like the ones you buy at the store. My mom hand makes them.
Oh, okay.
So like
that might be even better.
Like the fudge is like really thick around the Oreo,
right?
And then you put them in the freezer. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. And then last night we had soft pretzels and cheese. That's all we ate for dinner.
Is it the ones that you always get?
The big long sticks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot how hungry the show makes me. But cutting back on my podcast listening to like at the start of the year, trying to just spend more time like without earbuds in.
Yeah.
And so like that, yeah, now I'm really hungry.
Last week that discussion on breakfast food, I was just like, dang, I want some waffles.
Oh, my mom also brought over these huge bagels. So like this weekend I made like a huge egg, sausage, and cheese bagel. So good. So that's my snack tendo though. I'm hungry now because like I didn't really eat dinner because like this medicine makes me like kind of not hungry.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm hungry. I had a peanut butter bagel when I got home, and like now I'm like really hungry. Maybe I'll have one after the show to go to bed with. It'll be fine. It'll be good.
Well, for me, I had my normal poke bowl, Hawaiian and tuna.
Every time you say poke bowl, I think you say poke ball, and I'm like, what are you eating Pokemon for?
He's got to eat them all.
Exactly. I had a Chipotle. I did have Chipotle. I had a burrito bowl, and I made that mug empty within like 7 minutes. After they gave it to me, I disappeared in the back and ate it quickly. I was just like, man, I really was hungry. Had Domino's this week. Just didn't do nothing like interesting because I'm still the Mountain Dew Pitch Black is like I said, it's back, but I had the zero sugar one because I wanted to taste it. Not bad. It really got a really good taste. I think I prefer that one over the regular Mountain Dew Zero because it still has that aftertaste, but because it's like a great flavor, it's not that bad with the aftertaste. With that, I do have though the Mountain Dew Energy Code Red. This is the cherry flavor from their regular Code Red. I haven't tried it yet, so I'm interested in trying it and stuff. But that's pretty much it. I didn't do anything interesting just yet. probably Wednesday I will be looking for new places to go to try food at. Speaking of lo mein though, I did have some chicken lo mein today. The noodles, I think they switched their noodles because it tastes different and it was sticky, but the fried rice was like bomb big. I'm like, ooh, this rice is was on point. Other than that, yeah, nothing too big. I still gotta try a hamburger with a fried egg on it. I need to
Ooh.
find a place that makes it.
You don't
Uh,
have to do that, Ed.
I
It's
do.
not a requirement.
I want to try it to get the experience and
Mm,
everything.
mm.
Hey, when you told me about the Chick-fil-A spicy chicken and what to do with it, I did it so I could get the flavor.
Well,
And yes,
that's different. That's delightful.
yes, and that was amazing and everything. Even though he still gets on me that I go for grilled chicken at Chick-fil-A.
Mm-mm. No, you're doing it wrong.
I don't
What?
ever go for grilled chicken unless I'm grilling it myself. I always go
Yeah,
for crispy. I always like that. I don't.
yeah,
I just. If I want grilled chicken, I'll make it myself.
yeah.
But
Well,
David's got the right idea.
I get their grilled chicken because I don't like their regular chicken. Their spicy chicken is really good though. So
It is. Oh, now I want spicy chicken sandwich. Mm.
so
Oh, I had Arby's for lunch today.
again, ooh.
Yeah. Well, my mom gave me a gift card because
oh,
she thinks we're poor, so she brings me gift cards sometimes. It's kinda
Arby's,
nice.
Arby's. Tell you what, they have some of the best Greek gyros like ever. It amazes me how good their gyros are.
I
Oh,
don't think I've ever had one.
so
Isn't there?
this is the speaking of gyros that you David, we used to have a gyro place up the street, but they left. They just dipped off, and now it's a Mexican restaurant.
What
Mexican.
like I love both Greek food and Mexican food, but like a Greek gyro by itself, like that's on its own tier. Like I,
Mhm.
I don't know if that's a downgrade or not. Like I don't know. It had to be a
I
really good Mexican place.
I am going to go and find out. That's probably what I'm going to do Wednesday and try because it's literally a block from our local Domino's and stuff. So, but I'm going to go in there and see what they offer. I'm probably going to get a taco and a burrito and everything.
Mm.
Cause and hopefully they got some side of Mexican rice so I can try their Mexican rice. And I will report next time I get back for Nintendo Pop Lock to see and, like they literally dipped because it was just like I'm just like, oh, I'm about to go get a gyro. Why is no one in this place? Like everything was gone.
Wow, that's crazy.
Wow.
So yes.
I gotta tell you though,
Okay.
the Cajun gyro, what I don't know. Everybody says it different depending on where you're from. The Cajun one by my house at Euro Gyro is so good. It's so good. Oh my gosh, you get extra sauce on it, and I don't get tomato on it because I'm not a fan of tomatoes. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. And then you get fries, and then you put the fries on it.
Oh,
It's so good.
See, I can't do all of that because
Well, you just suck at eating, Ed.
but I
Grilled
think it's
chicken
because
from
but this is my thing with gyros because my thing with gyros is
Pizza Hut
that
instead of Domino's.
my thing with gyros is that you knew you was getting some bomb gyros if it was in that red basket with them fries in the red basket and you had that red plastic cup with Coke in it or Sprite.
Uh,
Because that like the gyro place that we used to have was in the mall right from Aladdin's Castle. So we would get our gaming on Aladdin's Castle and go right around the corner to the gyro place and sit down and have the best food there. Dang, now I want a gyro.
I'm so hungry now.
should we take a break and go eat and come back and
Ah.
we'll be right back after these delicious messages.
Listen to the ad that pops up.
if you want to be a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/bossrushmedia, and find out which tier is right for you. Our Patreon producers at the $5 tier or higher for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Dierig, Francisco Santillan, and Rebecca Jewell. Thank you for your continued support.
Well, everybody, we're going to get into Snack Tendo. Good.
Nope.
Quickly.
Wow.
Doing
Get
it
so
again.
hungry he wants to do another round.
We're going to get into Playing with Power. We're going to say Fire Emblem Engage at the end. Because I think we all played it, got an idea of it, and we'll discuss it from there. But Corey, what have you been playing with Power?
So I've been on Switch. I've played a lot of Dreamlight Valley this week because it's just an easy game to lay down and play while you're watching stuff. Plus, I'm obsessed with it, and I'm trying to unlock the Toy Story area because I want the cowboy outfit, and my kids love Toy Story, so yeah. I haven't been playing as much though lately. Obviously we've been pre-recording stuff and got a lot of cool stuff coming up between the two main shows and the extra stuff we're doing. So I've been editing and getting all that stuff done. But I also, last night, I had some free time and I'm still pushing through God of War Ragnarok. It's 18 and a half hours in, I finally got to a part that I'm like, wow, this game this cutscene did a lot for me, I know I've been pretty hard on this game across the shows. I enjoy the combat, but it's so few and far between, and I don't really like the way the game feels, and I hate playing as Atreus, and there's just a
That's
lot
surprising.
of stuff. What?
Not liking to play Atreus. And the reason I maybe it's probably because when I played him, he feels better. Because I play like Tomb Raider with Lara Croft and stuff. He feels better playing than Aloy. I'm sorry. He shooting the arrows in God of War is way better than Horizon Zero Dawn or the Horizon series.
But I've committed to beating this game because I am a big fan of that series overall, and I want to see how this arc ends. So I'm just committed. So I forget. I think how long to beat. I think says like 35 hours, and I'm like 20 something hours in.
Yeah.
So I've been playing that. I also played some Destiny this weekend. Still no cowboy hat. Ran the dungeon twice. No cowboy hat. So you Destiny fans out there will know. Also, I also read that the drop rate of the cowboy hat is at like 1.5%.
Ooh.
So I'm like, why is it that low? It's just an armor piece. It's nothing. It's not exotic. It's not something special. It's just a piece of armor, and it's just, oh my gosh, I just want that. It's the only piece I need from the dungeon. Then I can stop running the dungeon. It's not like the dungeon is. I mean, I think this is one of the weaker dungeons in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's not a popular opinion, but so I played some of that, and then I played a little bit of Horizon Forbidden West, which I absolutely love, but I only play it in little bits and pieces because I want to play it after God of War, because if I start playing Horizon hardcore, I won't finish God of War. So, but I also want to play Horizon before Zelda comes out, because I know once I start playing Zelda and I go back to Horizon, I'm just going to compare the two again, and I don't want to do that. So
I think if I go back to Horizon, I think I'll probably go back in April. If there's like no big major releases or anything.
There's a few major releases, Ed. You're not going to play the Resident Evil 4 remake?
I thought that was in March.
My prediction.
No, I thought RE4 was in March.
Star Wars is in March, I think. Hold on. Let me pull up the big list.
Is
I know
RE
I'm going to
is
be.
RE4 PS5 exclusive?
No, it's on
No,
the
it's
Xbox as well.
yeah, in PC.
Is it on PS4?
Yes.
Yes.
It's on PS4 and PS5,
Okay.
but it's not coming to Xbox One, but it is on Series X and S,
Yeah.
which is weird.
Okay.
So I don't know. Also to Xbox One. Man.
Yeah.
Dead Space is coming out.
Friday.
Not Dead Space, Resident Evil. Shoot.
That's
Wrong game. Resident Evil is coming out, you're right, at the end of March 24th.
Okay.
It's basically April.
Yeah. Dead Space I'll get next week. I'm gonna be out of town.
Yeah, that's fine. But that's what I've been playing. Also Fire Emblem, but we'll get to that, I guess.
Yes. David, what have you been playing with Power?
So going back to the end of last year, my wife and I were finishing up. We played one of the Dark Pictures anthology games, Little Hope, and that was fun. Basically, it's like Salem Witch Trials meets The Sixth Sense. Is the best way that I could describe the plot of that game. That was really good. And then after that, we picked up Call of Cthulhu on the Switch, like right at Christmas, and that break between Christmas and New Year's, which because I think I had just like leftover eShop gift card money, or it was on sale or something like that. And so we played Call of Cthulhu, and that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. And so when we were done with that, it was like, hey, let's stick in the HP Lovecraft world and let's pick up The Sinking City on PlayStation for like $12 because it was also on sale. And I did not like that nearly as much as Call of Cthulhu. And that was just partially because it was this really nice big open world, but the story just kind of got lost in that big world. It just felt like I was doing a bunch of fetch quests, like, oh, go do this thing, go kill this guy, go take a picture of this thing, and like it just was like all these things didn't seem connected, and so it just kind of like, all right. It was still fun. It was still a good time, but I I liked Call of Cthulhu better, and it played really well on the Switch. I don't think the Sinking City is on the Switch. I think that's just like PS4 and Xbox One and stuff like that. But I don't know. I don't think that could run on the Switch as well because there's a lot more. That's a lot more graphically intense. But then I was trying to play through Three Hopes because I got that with Christmas money. And I was trying to play through all of that, play through at least one run of Black Eagles in that, and I did not complete that objective. it but and that was just because I had too much other things going on, and I just couldn't make time for it. But now that I have now that I have Fire Emblem Engage, like that is all I'm playing right now. And then there's one other thing that I played with my wife along the way, Fire Emblem related, and that's because I'm a total nerd. I bought a bunch of Fire Emblem Cipher the card game stuff, and so these
I didn't know they made one.
Well, it's now a discontinued game, and the other problem is, I don't know if you can tell, it's not in English. So I painstakingly translated every card. I have 100. No, I probably have close to 200 now because I bought a starter deck too, and I have another booster box coming because these are awesome.
That is dedication.
Yeah,
yeah. I'm a nerd. I don't mind.
That's fine.
We don't.
But so
look, I read Destiny lore books in my spare time. Okay, so
yeah, my Zelda books are right there.
Yeah,
more over there, and the rest are upstairs where my kids can't get to them because they're like the nicer versions of them. But
nice.
But yeah, I made my wife the deal because she's not a Fire Emblem fan. So I made her the deal that I would finish painting the living room over break if she would play one round of the card game with me and watch Fire Emblem Engage with me as I played it. And she, much to her dismay, agreed to that deal, and I painted the rest of the living room. But now she has to. She made good on the playing the round of the card game with me. She beat me. Uh, but
Nice.
so that's what I've been playing with Power.
Okay. For me, so I finished up Detroit Become Human, so we
Oh yeah.
could have our talk the walk discussion. I love that game, and I gotta tell you, because I did the recording with Nelly, and we had such a great time, such a great discussion, and stuff that she didn't know that I did was equal amount to the stuff that I didn't know that she did. Cause like part of my game got cut off because some characters died.
Mm-hmm.
And so she told me more about the game. I'm like, oh, now I got to replay it and everything. And it was such a great game,
That's
making the choices and everything. So,
that is a
and
phenomenal game. We played that a
yeah,
while back, and it was one of those games where you just sit back at the end, wow, and then
right.
you look at some of the alternate paths that you could have taken or things that you might not have found out about, and it's just like, wow.
Yeah, there was a discussion that I brought up, and it was just like it feels like all of the overweight people or the overweight white men that's in the game, they were just straight up evil people, drug addicts, and everything. Because one of them got killed, or like from a crime scene, you were able to kill another one who was just straight up abusive, and then there's a son that you could also kill who comes in like off that stuff and everything. And he was he wasn't chunky or anything, but he was just like, man, the some of the white men in this in Detroit in this game are just plain evil, are just disgusting humans, and I have no empathy for them if I kill them or anything like. And so
That's a game doing a good job of the writing the character to make them easily despisable and
yeah. But like all the three characters that was in the game, like the main characters I really cared for. Like even
mhm.
Kyle, even though he was like android investigator, I I treated my partner very unfairly. And that was a sight to behold. And so when that episode come out, everybody, you'll be able to hear that discussion. Of course, I played more Vampire Survivor, unlocking stuff. So such a great game. Waiting for that to come to Switch. Started up Persona 3 Portable. I didn't get too far on it, but I'm doing beginner because I already beat it fast. So I'm doing beginner with the male character and so I could see what that game has to offer portable wise. And then I'll probably play it again as the female character and stuff. But I think I'm gonna do the female character on a normal setting and everything. With that. Played a little bit more of Pokemon Scarlet, getting still haven't got to a gym yet. I'm on my way to one of the gyms to fight. Like I'm going to my first gym I'm going to is the water gym because since I am grass type and a bit powerful, I'm treating the gyms like they're a Mega Man game, you know, and everything. So I'll be doing that later. And then So well, let's get into this discussion. Fire Emblem Engage. It is the first release for Nintendo for the Nintendo Switch this year. Um, I the trailers just don't do this game justice. Seeing the cutscene, even the intro music was really good, and the voice acting is like superb. But the flow of the animation, I'm like, oh, intelligence system, what have you been on? What have I missed from you guys?
Well, intelligent system makes really beautiful games for the systems that they create. I mean, the last game they put out was Paper Mario, right? And that game looks stunning. You know,
Yeah.
uh, this is definitely an upgrade from Three Houses visually, I would say. I mean, Three Houses was Bandai Namco for the most part, but or
Right.
Tecmo Koei. I'm sorry,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, for the most part, right? With them overseeing. Uh, I still really love Three Houses, but this game definitely got a visual upgrade for sure. I really like when you go into battle that when it zooms in, you're actually on the place on the battlefield. The whole battlefield is kind of 3D rendered.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Some of the textures on the ground could be better, right? Like I feel like there are some corners cut, but overall, like the gameplay is great. I like that they brought back the rock paper scissor kind of attack stuff that they left out of
Yes.
Three Houses. It took me a minute because like it's been so long since I used it that I'm like, oh, I gotta remember that this beats this beats this.
Yeah,
Uh,
outside of playing Fire Emblem Heroes, I mean, it's not been a thing for a while. It's not didn't have to think about it in Three Houses or Three Hopes. It was just
right?
there, and you're going back a lot
Yeah,
further before you get to a game that had the weapon triangle in it.
yeah, yeah, and so I think that was a nice return. Um, I'm still trying to figure out like the emblem stuff. I know like you kind of start out with Marth. I feel like I want to experiment with them and see, who works best with who. And I think it has a lot to do with like, your who's using what weapons and
Hmm.
unlocking you keep unlocking new characters and new emblems right throughout the game.
Right.
Uh I thought there's a pretty powerful story moment towards the beginning that was pretty um I think they wanted it to be more impactful than I personally thought it was, but I feel like you didn't spend enough time with this one character for that moment to impact, but maybe it'll come back and be more powerful later. Um but overall, I really like it. I think the characters are fun. Uh Alir, the main character, doesn't really bother me as much
Hmm.
as I thought, with like the dual colored hair and eye stuff, and I think that's going to obviously play a bigger role in the story, which it's been hinted at a few times at this point.
Mm.
uh, so yeah, plus like I don't know, I feel like I how do I want to say this? I feel like there's not, I mean, I know there's not a lot of like the companion kind of relationship building that's in Three Houses, and I kind of miss that a little bit. um Not that like I should advocating teachers making moves on their students or anything, but like I kind of miss the relationship aspect of that. But I know that that's kind of being replaced with the emblems, and there are parts where you can kind of go around and talk to your teammates and kind of get to know them and learn things. But
There's
um
still, yeah, I mean, there's still the supports. There's still all that. I mean, it's just not as in your face as it was in Three Houses. It's just more. It's more like I've been describing this to people, a couple people I've been talking to that haven't picked it up yet. It feels like traditional Fire Emblem with the knowledge that they gained from doing Three Houses.
mhm,
Like it feels
Hmm.
Three Houses compared to the rest of the franchise feels like a deviation. It feels like it
mhm,
was a change,
mhm,
and it wasn't a bad change. It worked. It was great. It was a phenomenal game. But coming back to that traditional style Fire Emblem, but taking the lessons that were learned from doing Three Houses, really, you can see those elements in here because I just unlocked the cafe on
mhm,
my playthrough, and I went and had a pizza with two of my favorite characters, and immediately I got a bond level or a support level increase with both of them off of that one meal, and I'm like,
mhm.
yes,
Yeah,
this is going well.
yeah. I like you said, I think the bond stuff is going to come in different ways. uh you know o- Obviously playing with your teammates and having the stand by me so we can level up together type thing is still there, but like the eating the pizza with two companions is like that's going to be your kind of way you gain those support
Mm-hmm.
points and stuff. So I'm excited to keep going. This definitely feels like when I don't. You guys both played Fire Emblem Fates, right? This definitely feels like
Yes.
this definitely feels
I never actually did, but I'm familiar. I'm very familiar with it.
okay. Yeah, so this definitely feels like the Conquest version of Fates over the Birthright version of Fates. It definitely feels like a more traditional kind of hardcore strategy game than the, you know, pal around with my friends and do the relationship thing and then, maybe fight people once in a while. uh, which I appreciate. I really like. So yeah, I'm excited to keep going. I really like it.
I will say that this game really feels well in a sense it feels like now the Fire Emblem series is in three different directions now. You got the intelligence system versions, you got the Kobe Tecmo version,
Mhm.
and then you got the Warrior version. And it feels like all of them works in their own separate ways.
Yeah.
Like, and I think with Engage, with it, being announced, what they announced it with in September, I think, in the September direct
Yeah.
last year,
Yeah.
and then it's coming out and stuff. You be like, okay, they didn't really give it time to like breathe or really. I mean, they marketed stuff, but
I
they
mean,
didn't
they had
really
a
give it
pretty
time.
strong marketing cycle, right? I mean, they
Well,
Yeah,
released.
yeah,
Well, the marketing has been very different from Japan, where I mean, Japan was getting 10-minute videos every week
Mhm.
versus the West, where we were getting, you know, here's the characters you're gonna get. Okay, where's more?
yeah.
If it wasn't for like more diehard Fire Emblem fans doing the translating and stuff, there's a lot of stuff that the Western audience may not have picked up on going into this game.
It feels very fresh,
Yes.
for it, and I think it got a lot of people who had their doubts kind of turned around, and it's making more people who just like, well, it seems like everybody else is picking it up. I guess I'll pick it up and give it a try, and that's been working. That really is working for it. I don't know how the sales is going to be when, because it's only been out. It hasn't even been out for a week yet
No, not
or
yet.
anything. Um, but it's like that's all people been getting into and definitely enjoying. If they're not playing Fire Emblem Engage, they're playing Persona. So the strategy of Persona and Fire Emblem dropping back to back is working. And that's pretty good. And shout out to Capcom for Monster Hunter too, because I've been seeing Monster Hunter rise on other systems that everybody is enjoying. So my thing with that is, I guess they're understanding why people love Monster Hunter Rise when it came out on Switch, and then why people got the PC version. Of course, with Xbox, it's Game Pass, and for PS5 players, they're buying it. But so many people are enjoying that game. And I'm not even worried about the frame rate being fast and stuff. It's just the fact that a lot of people have been enjoying it and getting really into Monster Hunter. So it's one of those games that I'm happy that even though people miss it on Switch and PC, they're getting into it now. It's recognizing, okay, this is why this game sold. This is why the Nintendo players loved it. And I
Mm.
think that's what's happening with Fire Emblem, and everything, is that, there's always been a love for the series, but new players are coming in and getting it, you know, uh, and stuff. Because I told people that a lot of people just they want to go back to the old games, and I said start with this. Do not touch the old games, because that would make you hate the series.
Well, and
I don't know. Oh,
I
go ahead, Dave.
I saw somebody talking about playing this game, and they were like, "Oh, you should definitely start with Three Houses. You should definitely start with Three Houses." I'm like, "No, I don't think that. I don't think Three Houses is the right game if you're going to get somebody into Fire Emblem to start them on." I started with Awakening, like probably a lot of people over here
Yes.
our age did. You
Yeah.
know, there is a definite difference between Awakening and the games that came before it, and the games that came after it, up to Three Houses. And I think Three
Mhm.
Houses is that next like break point where you brought a lot of people in. A lot of Three Houses fans are going to jump into Engage, and feel very different. They're going to feel like, what is this? This doesn't feel like what I played, because of the differences that we were talking about. The way that the whole teacher, the entire academy mechanic that was Three Houses is very, all that is very subdued. Like, and then that's why I say this feels like a traditional Fire Emblem in that sense.
Yeah, I would definitely say this feels closer to the 3DS versions than Three Houses for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, if you played Conquest, this is definitely like that Fire Emblem. It's hardcore. There's no like quote unquote relationship love building, right? Like it's you find your companions, you find your partners, and you find, you know, the stats that work together, and then the emblem mechanic is like the new mechanic that you put on top of that, and it's
You can still S rank. You can still marry in this game. I had to look it up. I didn't look up like who you could S rank and things like that, but I'm like, if I'm gonna do this, I need to find the somebody.
Yeah.
Exactly. And before we move on, we get into family news. This soundtrack is insanely good.
Oh my
I'm
gosh,
like,
that opening song, dude.
Yeah.
okay.
I was like, what is going on?
I
It's
love the intro to this song. I love the intro to this game. It reminds, so the last game that I played that was this anime and this good was Tales of Arise last year, and that
oh,
intro,
Tales
the
of
first
Rise intro.
the first half intro, the second half intro is totally different, and it feels like the outro. It
Oh,
should,
okay.
the first, like the season one, if you will. The season one intro is amazing. This feels
That
like that.
By the way, did you see Tales of Arise might be coming to Switch this summer?
I might
wait,
rebuy it.
hold on.
I might
You
rebuy it
lying.
for that.
Where did you read this at?
I saw it in a rumor thing going around.
Oh, that's already
'Cause
gonna be months.
they want to bring more Tales games out after Tales of Symphonia.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm here for
Which
a
I
Rise
already
review.
forgot.
I would
Coming
double
out.
dip on Tales of Arise for the Switch. I would.
Yes.
Yeah.
That intro to Tales of Arise, everybody, if you have not heard it, go on YouTube. Just watch the cutscene with the music, because it's
so
anime it's anime J-pop
It's so good.
goodness, but it's just like I never want to press start. I want to hear all of this. And what I loved about, I told Dan this, Corey, I was just like, I think this is giving Xenoblade Chronicles 3 a run for its money for its soundtrack. Xenoblade Chronicles 3, love the soundtrack.
Yeah, but
Something
Xenoblade Chronicles is more. It's more within the game. It's not like this rock ballad that opens the game, right? Like it's
true, yes, true. But it's that you get this classical orchestrated kind of sound, and you're just like, "Ooh, this is so good." And then you get into a battle, and then this K-pop like anime rock, and I'm just like, "I love this." And it's the transition that happens because it's so smooth, and you win the battle, and then it goes like, la da da da, and I'm just like, this works. This is amazing. Like, we already, that's why I say I feel like this should be a nomination for Game of the Year and a nomination for Soundtrack of the Year.
You can
Because
adopt stray cats and dogs in this game. What more do you need?
It's true.
I mean,
You can do that.
yes,
I noticed that.
it needs to be in the 90s. I can't believe it's like in the 80s, like 88 or
it's
87.
it's getting not review bombed, but it's the negative scores it's getting are from people that are saying, well, it doesn't have this from Three Houses. It's not Three Houses. This, it doesn't have this from Three Houses. Right. That's the point.
Right.
That's why we love it. Not saying anything bad about Three Houses. I have that right there too with my custom Edelgard cover. But
Yes. So that's going to be it, everybody, for Playing with Power. We're going to be talking more about Fire Emblem as the weeks go along, as we're playing it, because I am loving this game. If they, oh, goodness, Corey and David, Fire Emblem's Awakening, that really needs to come to Switch. I would love a Fire Emblem collection for Switch.
I wonder if there'll be one that comes. I mean, that Fates remaster has been rumored for years, right? That
give
has
us
all three of them in it.
Yeah, all three branches in one. That would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if the Switch, before we, spoilers for family news, but if they're really like increasing production of the Switch and they're pushing out whatever their next gen console is, and they need to fill some, release dates, like
Mhm.
that would be a nice kind of way to fit in, a game. I mean, they're obviously starting to put Wii and Wii. I mean, obviously we've seen a ton of Wii U games, but they're obviously starting to milk that Wii back catalog, right? Like,
Mhm.
imagine 2024 opens with like a Fire Emblem Fates collection and the Zelda collection, right? I mean, not to get too ahead of ourselves, but just throwing
If they
that out there.
brought game, if they brought
And
Game
the and
GameCube,
the that Metroid Prime collection that's been rumored for a while.
I'm gonna go broke.
shoot, look, if they bring GameCube and Fire Emblems Radiant Dawn, is it Radiant
Oh,
I
Dawn?
know.
yeah.
I
If they
know.
bring
Don't
Radiant Dawn and Path of
Path of
Radiance,
Radiance.
Path of Radiance is GameCube. Radiant Dawn was the Wii. If they bring those over, because those are two other Fire Emblem games that I have not played, much to my shame,
Mhm.
and I can't play them because they're let's see, Path of Radiance I think is like $300 right now if you want a copy, and
Mhm.
it's 150 for Micaiah's game, Radiant Dawn. It's yeah. I'll watch a Let's Play. It's free.
I well,
That
I think. Oh, go
go
ahead.
ahead, Ed.
Right.
Go ahead, Ed.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think the increase of subscriptions for a Switch for a special pass, the $50 one. I mean, not jumping in price, but I'm just saying if they kept the 50 at GameCube and added that game, Nintendo is going to see a big spike in that.
Hmm.
I think.
Yeah. I wonder. I still wonder if GameCube games are going to make their way over at some point.
I
I
mean,
feel like
they've
they.
done
I
it
feel
with
like they have to.
Sunshine. They've done it with Sunshine, and that played
Mhm.
just fine.
Well, remember they were using that Mario collection to test the emulators, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
That was the whole point of that collection.
Yeah.
I mean, those games were fine in their own right, but like that was the point, was to test the Nintendo 64 and GameCube emulators, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, what do you know? The next year we got a Nintendo 64 online. So,
Yep.
anyways, this is like expansion pass territory.
Yes. Well, everybody, it's time for Family News.
Yeah, Fammy news, everybody. So
Corey, take it away. I was waiting for you to call.
yeah,
That was a well
sorry,
timed
I
cough.
wasn't expecting it to come out so fast. So there's a lot of small news stories. I don't know how much we want to spend a lot of time on these, especially because we got a ton of questions to answer. But we kind of talked about this on a future episode of expansion pass for next gen Nintendo.
Mhm.
But Nintendo is increasing Switch production in 2023. A lot of this seems to be revolving around Tears of the Kingdom. They expect to be selling a ton of consoles with OLED consoles with this game. So this story comes from GameSpot. I'm just going to read a little snippet here from it. Nintendo has managed to weather the supply shortage storm, although the company did revise its sales forecast in November 2022. Tears of the Kingdom is expected to not only be a top seller for Nintendo when it releases in May, but also a shot in the arm of the system sales have been impacted by supply constraints. Those challenges did not stop Switch from being the best-selling console in the U.S. For overall unit sales. And as of September 30th, 2022, over 114 million Switch consoles have been sold worldwide. It is worth noting, though, even though it was the number one console in unit sales, it was still down 24% over 2021. Additionally, the next limited edition Nintendo Switch OLED console is rumored to be a Tears of the Kingdom Switch, as photos of it recently leaked online.
Mhm.
First revealed all the way back at Nintendo's E3 2019 direct presentation. Tears of the Kingdom will launch May 12th. So, it's weird that they would like double production for one game. That I wonder. I mean, Ed, we went over that email, that Mario Odyssey email.
Yeah.
I wonder. I wonder if they have some really heavy hitters coming this fall that we don't know about yet. I mean, aside from Metroid Prime 4 and Advance Wars after Zelda. We don't know anything.
Right.
Anything. Yeah, we're literally in the dark.
hmm
We're expecting another Mario game. And we do have Pikmin 4 cuz Pikmin 4
Yeah, Pikmin 4 is the other
but
one.
I think when we was talking, Corey, we was um thinking assuming that Pikmin 4 might be this summer. But it
Yeah,
may be later in the year now. Yeah,
yeah,
literally after the Tears of the Kingdom, E3 to Nintendo is so important, and I mean everybody's gonna be watching, but everybody wants to know what are you dropping for
hmm
this holiday.
yeah.
You know,
I mean,
Donkey Kong.
I know I mean, that's the other rumor, right?
Yeah.
Is the Mario Odyssey team is working on a Donkey Kong game. I wonder if the Mario Odyssey team is working on Donkey Kong. I wonder if
Mhm.
there's another team working on Mario. My assumption actually is that there will probably be some sort of a Mario sports game, another Mario Party game, something in that vein to cover the Mario aspect. I mean, like it or not,
Hmm.
The last Mario Party sold over 10 million units, so we know
Right.
we're getting another one. I would also suspect that we're going to see some ports of things,
Mhm.
just to fill release time of bigger Wii and maybe
Yeah.
GameCube, or I don't
If
know, maybe Xenoblade Chronicles X would be great.
that Baten Katos rumor is
That's the
true,
other rumor. Yeah,
both games, oh heck yeah, people are going to buy
I
because
can I
that's
can hear Shane screaming all the way
Well,
to wherever he's buying that from.
so Square Enix put Crisis Core on the Switch, which shocked me.
yeah.
Do they put another Final Fantasy? Do they put Final Fantasy VII remake and what is it, Rebirth out on the Switch?
Well,
I
no,
no,
because
Rebirth is Sony
the new
exclusive the
one,
first year.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, I don't think we're gonna get 7. My initial thought was that we're gonna get some sort of 13 package,
Mm,
Yeah,
because
that's what I'm thinking.
yeah,
that'll be the only, besides, obviously 15 and 16. That'll be the only numbered entry that's not on Switch, right? That's not online.
that's not on anything other than the PS3, as far as I remember, isn't it?
It's
Is it
It's
still
on
locked to
360
PS3?
also.
what Final Fantasy 13?
Yeah,
No, it's backwards compatible on Xbox
that's what I just
Oh,
One,
said.
okay.
Series X. He said PS3.
I know. I said
He,
it's
Oh,
on 360.
oh,
Thanks, Ed.
uh,
Thanks for listening to me.
what?
You-
I thought,
No,
yeah,
I'm just kidding. No, that's my thought though. Is like I bet we get some sort of 13 package, or I don't know if they would sell the games individually or as one giant package. I would assume it would be sold as a trilogy at this point.
I think they'll do a trilogy because definitely with the way that Square knows that they could get that money. If Final Fantasy 16 doesn't do at what it should do, I think if they get out 13, people are going to be like, okay, I'm getting this on Switch.
Yeah. Well,
They're going to be.
if you're talking
Oh,
Square, that a Dragon Quest X offline is also a thing that's coming.
but that's still in Japan. They're still not going to bring it to America.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think the sales of 11. I think
Yeah.
they could experiment bringing it.
Everybody's been wanted, but everybody wanted 11 on Wii U when it dropped.
Yeah,
And
but
Square
the
Enix.
Switch has sold a significantly more.
Oh
You
yes.
put
Come on.
something on the Switch, it turns to gold. We know this.
Yeah, that is true. But I literally think like with Square Enix, because we know the Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster is going to be a big thing, and that pricing, the whole situation is something a whole nother discussion with its craziness. But if Nintendo could get like some exclusives from Square Enix,
Well,
if they
is Octopath 2 Switch exclusive for any length of time?
no,
No, it's
Octopath
coming
2
to
is
PlayStation.
coming from
It's funny because it's coming to PlayStation 5, but not Xbox. But the first game came to Xbox, but not PlayStation.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. But I think
Yeah.
a lot of people look at that as a Switch game because I think Nintendo is
Yeah.
publishing it on the Switch, which is
I think so. Yes, I believe so. We so I feel like a Fatal Frame. If they could get Parasite Eve, if they could get Like if Nintendo could get some of the PS1 classics from Square Enix exclusively, or at least time exclusively that they release first, and then for the next 3 months they release on other platforms, that would be a good filler that they need. As for
Well,
Nintendo themselves, they could do another Yoshi game. We still got Golden Eye 64 whenever Microsoft was to release that. And that could be a huge thing in the fall.
Yeah, but
Uh,
that's going to be part of expansion pass though.
yeah.
well, yes, that is true, but I think like for the fall, we don't know
Yeah.
how that's
Is it
gonna
is
go.
that is that going to be enough though to justify the increase in their console production? I think is what we're really
No,
dancing
I don't think
around.
so. Yeah, I don't think
Or
so. I think
is it only gearing up for Zelda, basically Zelda, and then some inevitable Mario or Donkey Kong game?
yeah, I think we got to know what's coming in the fall to really know that answer. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously we don't, right? But there's room to speculate, right? That Metroid Prime remake has been floating around also.
My neighbor's uncle's brother's cousin's daughter's twice removed sister-in-law who
Mhm.
sneezed next to somebody at Nintendo knows the guy. And they said that was
yeah.
happening.
Hmm.
I know Pokemon make. I think Pokemon doesn't need to be out this year.
There's going to be a Pokemon game, dude. There was 3 Pokemon games out last year. They're not missing a year of Pokemon.
Well,
Detective
I
Pikachu. There you
yeah, that's
that
the one.
yes,
That's
There you
the
go.
game. I think Detective Pikachu is gonna. I bet that might be their June game. That game might be the one that's coming out in June. It'll be announced in February and out in June.
I feel like if that rumor level 5, if they are coming back to the West, and I know we talked about this, Corey, that Professor Layton collection, if that could drop this year for the fall for
Yeah, but
Switch,
that's not a game that
it's
would
not
increase Switch
increase.
sales.
But I think it's just
You you want to know the
I
game I
guess
think is coming out in November. I think we're gonna get a sequel to Let's Go, and I think it's gonna be
mm,
Gold and Silver.
I can see that happening.
Yeah.
That would. I think it's just not one game that's gonna force the increase. I think
Yeah,
Nintendo got a lot of software coming to the
yeah,
platform,
oh yeah,
and everything, and it's time for people to upgrade their old ones to, because at first it's like you really can't. For some people, you still couldn't find the right Switch OLED, so
yeah,
they may be
Yeah.
doing that and getting it in. If they have a strong library, uh and literally and I'm not got nothing against PlayStation, but this is Microsoft year. If they don't hit hard this fall for Microsoft, Nintendo is going to dominate, not only with more console sales but with software sales and everything.
yeah. I
Even
mean,
and even Amiibo.
yeah. Even if you look at like hypothetical games, right, for this fall,
Mm,
just you get a AAA Donkey Kong out there, you get a Metroid Prime remake out there, you get a Pokemon game out there, Pikmin 4, and Advance Wars. That's your lineup, right? I mean, you don't. I think you could kind of position Pokemon and Donkey Kong as your like major heavy hitters, and then you know, I don't know. I don't. Nintendo didn't really have like a quote unquote heavy hitter this fall except for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and it did great. So
right. And who did Link's Awakening? The remake.
gosh, I don't
Re-
remember.
for
Grezzo?
Switch.
Grezzo?
Grezzo.
Yeah.
I think so. Grezzo has to have a project in their hands.
Yes,
That
it's the Wind
Nintendo.
Waker. It's the Wind Waker Twilight Princess bundle, and they're gonna release it in one nice neat package and give it to me finally.
I
If
want
they
I want Zelda 2 remade, but with those 2D HD pixel graphics that we see in like the Triangle Strategy and Octopath games.
if they just release all of that, oh goodness, ready for oh goodness, it's got to be Nintendo Direct. It has to be a Nintendo Direct where Corey, I'd be like, I don't care where you at, David. I don't care where you at. Someone to get online with me. We must discuss this.
Oh, yeah.
Ugh. All right, I'm moving on before we get really into this.
Wait, we weren't.
No, look, Ed and I could have talked about that for like 3 hours.
Oh, yeah.
So our next story, Fire Emblem Engage amiibo unlocks detailed. Not a whole lot. You get costumes. From you can dress up Alir as Byleth, Celica, Corin, Erica, Ike, Leaf, Lucina, Lynn, Marth, Micaiah, Roy, and Sigurd. You can unlock costumes of all those characters, and you can unlock music from the previous games as well.
I have
Not
scanned
a
my
whole lot.
Lucina amiibo every day. I have not gotten Lucina's costume yet. That's
Really?
all I want. That's all I want. It's the only
Really?
reason I keep. That's the only reason I picked female Alir is because I want to be able to run around the thumbnail in the Lucina costume.
Oh my gosh, it's literally the picture image or the
Mhm.
image pictured in this video on
Yeah,
Nintendo Life.
I'm wondering if it's locked behind like story progress as well because
Maybe.
I have 4 costumes and it's the 4 emblem rings that I have so far.
Yeah,
I literally have, and I'm like, okay, I wonder, is this partially locked behind this?
I'm definitely putting the Lucina costume on because Lucina's costume is the best.
Celica's doesn't look terrible,
Yeah,
and
but
actually,
Celica's,
Micaiah's looks okay.
yeah, Celica's a weird character. Like she's
Well,
cool,
yeah,
but I don't know. Shadows of Valencia didn't really do a lot for me. Still
Mm.
played it because I like Fire Emblem, but
I wonder if they're gonna re-release some of the amiibo.
see, I would have liked them to, but Nintendo doesn't seem to want to be doing that. Although
no,
they might with the Zelda ones. I hope they
uh,
re-release the 30th anniversary ones because I still want the Majora's Mask one.
Mm-hmm.
I still want the rest of the 30th anniversary Zelda ones.
Like
I still want the
Nintendo,
Super Mario Brothers set too, and I haven't seen those anywhere either. So
I have
Nin-
3 amiibo total. I have Daisy, I have Lucina, and then I have the Loftwing Zelda over there. That's it.
oh no.
Those are the only 3 I needed. I'm good.
Mitzi,
I
we
got
want to give you these coins.
I got all the Breath of the Wild ones, and I was like, yeah. And then
I would
I
like
got
the Guardian with the movable legs. That would be amazing.
yeah, it's cool looking, but it doesn't sit on a shelf nicely with the rest of them because it just gets in the way.
Yeah. You need to have it like wrap some up and just like hold them up.
Yeah.
Right. Hey Corey, plus you mostly use the Wolf amiibo.
Oh yeah, well yeah, Wolf Link Amiibo is amazing. Especially if you played Twilight Princess on the Wii U, which would have been smart to put on the Switch so you could level up that amiibo when they re-released it. Just throwing that out there. Not salty or anything. Literally one of 3 games I still have my Wii U hooked up for. Not that I'll go back and play it, but just in case. Nintendo. Nintendo doesn't want money, I guess. You know?
But we want to give them these coins.
Look, Wind Waker is stuck on the 2 platforms nobody bought, okay? That's all I gotta say.
And I own both of them. They're both just breathtaking games.
All right, I'm moving on before I get upset. Oh gosh, we're talking about Zelda. So another story, which is not really a story, but it was slim pickings this week again. Until there's a direct, it's going to be slim pickings, everybody. A random Zelda Breath of the Wild speedrunner beat the game 50 times in less than 24 hours. It's a new record.
I assume that's just wake up at plateau, get to Ganon, kill Ganon, start over.
It seems that way. As highlighted by Games Radar Plus, the quickest run was 24 minutes and 16 seconds. This was done with the help of a variety of skills and tricks, and one advantage each. And on average, each run was about 25 minutes. I'm trying not to cough here. I'm working on it. Previously, the world record to beat the game was 25 minutes and 23 seconds, so he beat it by over a minute. So that was it's impressive. Although 50 times in 24 hours.
Okay, so this is going to sound really shady, so I apologize. Elden Ring would never have nothing on Breath of the Wild if people are doing stuff like this.
Oh, geez, here we go.
I, I'm sorry. I'm sorry from software players. I know you guys love your soul games and stuff, but we're not getting stories like this from Elden Ring, and we're
We
still
are
getting it.
though. People are
And we're
beating the game with rock band drums and dance pads. Okay, that's
but
impressive.
we're getting. I think
Someone
we're
hooked up a
getting.
controller to a potato and ended up using potatoes to beat it.
But
You
I
can
think
play
we're
Doom on a
getting.
potato.
I think we're getting more weird stuff and mods and all. We're getting just so much more from a 6-year-old game, and I don't think that Elden Ring will ever be on that level of us getting the weirdest stuff like Breath of the Wild. Tears of the Kingdom is going to be a whole new level of nonsense because you got the air and you got the and you got the ground. Oh, it's going to be a whole new level of nonsense of people doing stuff with that game,
You're a new level of
glitching it,
nonsense.
breaking it. Like it's going to be
We'll see what
insane.
we'll see when it's a straight linear story that holds your hand for the first hour of the game and doesn't let you do anything other than a set path. Ooh. That
Uh,
would, so many people would get just rage quit.
Look, people still don't like wrestling the goat at the beginning of Twilight Princess. Okay, they said, "Oh, it takes 3 hours." Get good at goat wrestling. It takes 45 minutes.
right.
That's all I gotta say. Speaking of taking 3 hours, everybody, there's finally a solution, maybe, to Joy-Con drift, but you have to buy these joystick replacements and do it yourself. It looks like a company called Gully Kit is making joystick replacements that use Hall effect sensors that make them less likely to wear down. And they also have a special pad underneath the joystick where apparently if you open up a Joy-Con, there's like I don't know how to describe it. I'm not an engineer, but there's some sort of engineering issue where the joystick wears down, and that's what's causing the Joy-Con drift. Whereas this is built on a sturdy platform that will end that, I guess. So, I don't know. I'm not going to be taking my Joy-Cons apart. I already tried once and I totally destroyed it. And so, because I wanted white Joy-Cons before the OLED was announced.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, cool, I'll buy this replacement kit. And I tried and I destroyed it. And I was like, no more.
I going to watch videos and definitely check Nintendo Life, because there one of them will probably do it and talk about it and give us a review. So I'll wait for that. Um, I'm good. I have a Pro controller.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll see, I guess. I will probably buy a set of Joy-Cons and just leave them boxed until, this inevitably happens to the 3 sets of Joy-Cons I have already. Although, I still have my launch ones, and I use them the most from day one, and they have not drifted yet.
Yet.
How? I don't know. But
Yeah, my Joy-Cons are still on my Switch OLED, and they're not coming off for no apparent reason.
yeah, I still have my white ones and the Zelda ones, so I have barely used my Zelda ones, and my white ones I put away so my kids wouldn't color them. So, yeah.
If my kids ever colored on any of my game stuff, I mean, I colored on my N64 controller back in the day, but those things could take a licking and keep on ticking.
Yeah.
If they did that to any of my Switch stuff, one, I think my son would break down and cry because he'd be like, "You wouldn't let me do this?" My daughter would be sitting there going, "Look, color," and then I would be crying, and then my son would be crying, and then my wife would be laughing.
Everyone's crying. No big deal. It's fine.
Emotions. Hashtag emotions.
Live, love, laugh. Life.
Well,
Pray,
Corey, is that
love.
all for is that all for Family News?
Yeah. I guess we can move into Pack Watch if you want.
Yes, let's get ready for Pack Watch. Corey, take it
Yeah.
away.
All right. So nothing really that exciting for Switch this week. Mostly because we got all the excitement last week with 2 Persona games and Fire Emblem. But we do have 2 games worth noting here. On January 24th, we have a remake of Risen, the Deep Silver RPG from I would say the GameCube PS2 era, I believe.
I don't remember this game at
Delve
all.
into the gritty and atmospheric world of Risen, where every action has a consequence. Master the sword, learn the art of staff fighting, and become the most powerful mage, forging your own path across a land filled with mysterious earthquakes, fearsome monsters, and unimaginable treasures. Faranga needs a new hero. Will you heed the call? Man, this game looks rough. I don't know if you watched trailer on it or not. This definitely a PS2, GameCube, Xbox era RPG. So,
A little later, Xbox 360,
ooh, gross.
2009, 2010 are the
Yeah,
dates that I'm
that
seeing.
great,
Oof.
even better / worse. And the last game worth noting, coming out this week is Hitman World of Assassination Cloud version from IO Interactive. Hitman's World of Assassination is taking the most recent Hitman trilogy and giving players the ultimate Hitman package. Play through every mission from Hitman 1 through 3, however you want, with all the quality of life improvements found in Hitman 3. If you already own Hitman 3, you'll then be upgraded to this package automatically. So if you bought Hitman 3 when it came to the cloud last year, you will automatically be upgraded to this. There are several better ways to play this game. I highly recommend taking one of those, including Xbox Game Pass, or if you bought it on PS4 or PS5, those are 2 better ways to play it. Also, if you're a PC gamer, I'm sure you've gotten it on sale on Steam for like 25 cents and a box of cookies. I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know how Steam makes any money. Those games are like $1 all the time. I just don't understand. But yeah, so those are the 2 noteworthy games coming to Switch this week. We can move into Game Fact Advance also. So this week in Nintendo history, those who have followed Nintendo history, specifically their Japanese side, and I picked this specifically for you, you would know that Dragon Quest, known here in North America at that time as Dragon Warrior, was a massive hit on the Famicom. As the pinnacle of JRPGs in the 1980s, the series is the blueprint of which even now this genre is made from. In 1987, Enix released Dragon Quest II on the Famicom, giving players a new adventure in the world of Dragon Quest. It was released in North America in 1990, with sequels still coming out to this very day, with the most recent being Dragon Quest XI-S Echoes of an Elusive Age Special Edition coming to Nintendo Switch.
Well, everybody, it's time for Question and Block. Corey, we have some questions. So go ahead and ask what the community wants to know from us.
Yeah, we have a bunch of questions tonight from Discord. If you want your question read on the show, join the Discord. Just the Boss Rush Network Discord. Look for one of our many links on Twitter or Instagram or one of the other thousands of social media things out there. I'm sure you'll find it somewhere, or in the show notes. If you're listening, look in the show notes. It's probably the easiest way. Our first question comes from Late to Gaming via Discord. He says, prior to the Switch, Nintendo had a great track record of backwards compatibility for their handhelds, also their home consoles. If you bought a Wii U, you get the Wii games. If you bought a Wii, play GameCube games. Late to Gaming, were you one of those people that didn't buy a GameCube or a Wii U?
Leave Late alone.
Staring at you.
We love you, Late.
Just kidding. I'm just messing with them. Just messing around. Why do you think this has never been... It was a case for their consoles. I just made a case for it. Why do you think... This question is killing me. It's fine. I'm just kidding. Why do you think this has never been a case for their consoles? Do you think we'll ever see this change? So up until the Wii, Nintendo never had backwards compatibility for their consoles, right? I mean, obviously the PS2 had backwards compatibility with the PS1, and the Xbox 360 had backwards compatibility with the original Xbox for most cases. But up until the Wii, we didn't have backwards compatibility. But the Wii was backwards compatible with GameCube, to the point where they even had a GameCube controller slot on the side of it, and you could put memory cards in there and play GameCube games that way. Which is how I played Twilight Princess. Was the GameCube version in my Wii with a GameCube controller because I hated motion controls. And then the Wii U was backwards compatible with the Wii. So it even launched into like a Wii menu to play those games. Then obviously we got digital versions of Wii games later on down the road. But in terms of the Switch, obviously there was that Switch tax when you wanted a backwards compatible game, right? That's the joke, because if you want to play Super Mario 3D World, you had to go pay $60 for it again to own it on the Switch. But I think in this new era of digital distribution, and especially the precedent set by Xbox and PlayStation, with backwards compatibility with at least the previous generation of consoles, I would be shocked if the next the next Nintendo console didn't have backwards compatibility.
A lot of those Switches has also, no pun intended, have been made largely in part because they've changed format. Going from the N64 to the GameCube, it was no longer a cartridge; it was a disc. Going from the Wii U to the Switch, it's no longer a disc; it's now a cartridge, just a much smaller cartridge. So, like, short of attaching that entire console to this other console, there's no way you could have had backwards compatibility with those things to a certain point.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, when you look at the DS and the 3DS, right? Like, obviously the DS and 3DS cartridges are very similar, but the DS had the Game Boy Advance cartridge slot in the bottom, which was very useful, very cool. Because you could play backlit Game Boy Advance games, which was pretty much how I used my DS.
Well, I think it was, definitely with the time with Nintendo, with their earlier consoles, and even with Sega, they was doing this. That when it came backwards compatibility wasn't a big thing, for some of the consoles and stuff, because you got those games, and then it was time for them to be working on new games with new technology, with a new format and everything. Backwards compatibility for like bigger consoles, like you said, Corey, really didn't come into the PlayStation 2. But the only reason why that happened is because it was disc based, and it was pretty much being able to put that PlayStation 1 disc to read in PlayStation 2. But then Sony got rid of that with PlayStation 3 and 4. Microsoft didn't really have.
Well, the first round of PlayStation 3s had backwards compatibility in it.
It did, yeah. And then they put the patch in where they discontinued it.
Well, they didn't put a patch in; they just took out, because the original run of PlayStation 3s literally had a PlayStation 2 inside of it with the emotion engine and literally had a separate console inside the console to play PlayStation 2 games. And I think at the time, especially disc, like physical media still, right? Like, backwards compatibility wasn't as big of a thing back then as it is now, right? I think, and Sony saw the numbers and thought obviously they had to do something to make that console cheaper, right? Because PlayStation 3 was just ridiculously overpriced. But I think now with like the way, I think honestly Steam changed everything when people can still play games from their Steam account from like when did Steam launch, like 2003, 4, somewhere in there.
So.
Yeah.
Like, and people can look at their library and have they've have a library of games for like 20 years, and I think now consoles are just catching up with that, especially with digital distribution. your digital library is going to go with you moving forward. And I think Nintendo has to jump on that boat with their next console, right? I think the Wii U and the 3DS are the last two consoles that are going to be like, their digital distribution is just going to be lost to time if you don't download them, right? And
Yeah.
Ed, we talked about this a little bit the other day, which people will hear on Expansion Pass in the future. The Nintendo's leadership is way more conservative than Iwata and Reggie and the previous regime, right? They want to make something that sells and something that's going to be more consumer friendly and less of a risk and more of a hit, right? And
Yeah.
Obviously a Switch like device is going to be I think it's going to be more relevant to the people who have already bought Switches. I think my original thought process was that I think they're going to make us another Switch, but the dock is going to be the processing box, right? Where, yeah, you can take these games on the go. It might not look as good. It might not run as well, but the dock is it's basically going to be a processing box where, okay, here's where you get your 1440p or 4K resolution. Here's where you get your boost in performance, your boost in, graphical fidelity, these types of things.
Mm-hmm.
And will it, boost older games? I don't know. I think that's something Nintendo has to consider when they go to do this next console. But in terms of the games being backwards compatible, you have to make something that at least resembles a Switch, or like at least the button layout, or
The new Switch the new Switch XL.
Yeah, no, please don't. Like, don't make a Switch U. Don't make a new Switch.
It has to be a new console with a new name.
It needs to have a new different.
I mean, a Switch 2 would be a better name than any of these names, right? Like,
people couldn't understand Wii U, so why would a Switch 2 make sense?
Because Wii U, if you put a 2 next to something, it clearly indicates that it's a sequel. Wii U, when they marketed that thing, they marketed the tablet. They didn't market the console.
Yeah.
I mean, they put the.
No, Ed, everybody was confused. Okay, and don't.
I don't know how to. I literally don't know how you could be confused.
People were confused. Suck it up.
Customer was not right.
That's just impossible. How do you not know that this is a new console, even though they said it's a
Wii U, best Nintendo console?
Even though they said that this is a new console,
they didn't. You go back and watch that E3 presentation when they revealed the Wii U. They revealed the tablet and did not say it was a new console.
We had to watch the E3 presentation because I know they had to say it's a new console.
All right. Anyways, my point is that whatever the next console is, they need to make sure that they accommodate the stuff that the Switch accommodates, especially with, like, you look at their online subscriptions, the controllers are selling, right? They've all these devices have to be backwards compatible. If you want to play Nintendo 64 games on your next device, these controllers need to work, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Even the Switch Pro controllers need to work to an extent, right? Like,
that is the one thing that with Nintendo's next console, whatever it is, just don't have Joy-Con. If it's literally just a Switch with a little slightly faster hardware, but they make it to where the Joy-Cons and controllers don't have a drifting issue, done. I'll buy
Here's my thing. Don't have Joy-Cons. Just make the controller attached to the console.
And that's why I feel like that's where folks gonna get confused, because older parents, they're not gonna pay attention to this, and they're gonna be like,
people need to be smarter. Okay, I know I just got on you about people not knowing what the Wii U was, but people got to be smarter. Don't be a dummy when you're shopping for Nintendo consoles.
of its older parents, they're going to need pictures,
I know.
and people going to be like, "Hey, Santa, I need you to know that if you're going to bring
They're
me a
not
present,
cavemen. They don't need pictures. They just need someone to
trust me,
explain it to
they
them.
going to need
Game
pictures." So
not work.
look, don't forget, I worked at Toys R Us for 9 years. I dealt with folks who can't remember what they kids told them, and they always said, "I left the paper at home that kid gave me,"
Shouldn't have left it at home.
and that was parents.
But yeah, I mean, what the next console needs to be backwards compatible. I don't know how they do it. I don't care how they do it. Like it has to have a Switch cartridge slot for
Hmm.
the cartridge based games. It has to have digital distribution, backwards compatibility, all of the online expansion pass, DLC, classic game library, all needs to be backwards compatible. It just needs to work, right? I think it needs to function similar to the way that Xbox Series X mimicked the Xbox One, right? You turn it on, yeah, okay, it's kind of boring. It doesn't feel like you're having a new experience, but it's familiar. It's easy enough to reinstall everything. It's easy enough to go through the store and realize this is similar. I think it just has to do that, right?
I think it's going to depend on the micro SD card, like,
Why?
and because I think a lot of the games are going to be on there,
Well, my
and
thing is
if
that
it's
the dock, if you have a dock, like, yeah, you can put a micro SD card in your console and
hmm.
transfer games back and forth. But I think the new dock is going to have some sort of storage space in it.
Yeah.
Yes, but I'm just talking about for the backwards compatibility, hopefully to make it easier, because I don't know if it's going to have that cloud information, and that if that's connected to your subscription, and everything, and you stop using the subscription, and all your games and stuff and information is lost, where it can be easier to download and install. If that micro SD card is going to be a problem and Nintendo can't figure that out, backwards compatibility on their next console is going to be a mess. Even though you
Well,
bought the
it's a
games
mess. It's a
digitally.
mess on PlayStation, though, right? I mean, like, everybody made fun of Xbox with smart delivery, right? But like,
Hmm.
you install Assassin's Creed Valhalla on your Xbox Series X, it knows which version to download, and you go to the PlayStation. I was getting something the other day from the uh whatever the middle tier is. I'm subscribed to the middle tier. I went to download
Extra,
something,
I think extra or something like that.
and it asked me which version I wanted to download, the PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5. I'm like, I'm clearly using a PlayStation 5. Just give me the PlayStation 5 version. I don't care about, you know?
Mm.
Like, it's just, yeah, I think Nintendo is actually going to find themselves in a similar way if they release games across the platforms. Like, if
Hmm.
this game comes out on Switch and next gen Nintendo, like, I hope they don't find themselves in that position, but I think they're going to find themselves in that
Well,
position.
if they cease all production for Switch, game wise, when their new console comes out, and I know this don't relate to the question that we just was asked, um, and they started working on the new games and stuff, I think that's where hopefully the confusion doesn't
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
there. It's just finding the information for the backwards games so it could download to the system. And if they could automatically do upgrade, because like I said, Nintendo get talking to Microsoft, literally get talking to them because they can help. Microsoft can help Nintendo figure out on how to get it. I know it's a Japanese thing talking to an American company, but trust me, if you want the best in tech that could make stuff easy and streamless, Microsoft is at the best at it for right now in
Hmm.
game to do it.
Yeah.
So, and
It's
y'all
it's
got a
funny.
good relationship.
We always talk about. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, go ahead, Corey.
We always talk about how Microsoft is doing such a great job at, like, backwards compatibility and distinguishing itself from the previous gen console.
Hmm.
And they're the company that has, like, the least, like, their library indicates that they have, like, the least, what do you call it, the,
At least
like,
depth.
yeah, to do that with. But they're doing such a great job with it, and it's really showing in terms of, like, PlayStation. Like,
Mm.
their backwards compatibility is just like, oh well, this is just a PlayStation 4 version. There's no upres or whatever.
Or PlayStation is, hey, we're gonna remake this game from 15 years ago, 10 years ago. Here's a remake version of it. We'll charge you full price.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, oh man, this is, I don't know. I think Xbox, regardless of their library, right, like their first party output right now, everything else they're doing is
Spot
great.
on.
But I mean, obviously it's about the games, and I think that Nintendo and at this moment, Nintendo and Sony have Microsoft beat by a long shot in that category. But anyways, we spent a lot of time on that topic. Our next question comes from Brad M via Discord. What tarot card would your confidant social links with each other be? Let's see. Is he talking about the Fire Emblem ones?
I don't know.
No, I think he's
That's the only
talking
tarot
about.
card I know.
He's talking about
see.
Persona.
Persona.
Because Persona has social links.
I know,
where you could date someone, and your cards are the one that you could use for the Persona and stuff.
There's my tarot cards.
I got the tarot cards with my Fire Emblem Engage. That's what I thought he was talking about.
Yeah.
I pick Lucina.
Oh goodness.
Or Byleth.
I can take Celica or Micaiah.
I can't do Fire Emblem. I just do like a Nintendo Universe one. I think mine would be definitely Samus Aran.
Cheater.
Because I love Samus. And I think like Samus Aran would be my social link. I think my Nintendo tarot card would probably be Little Mac or something.
Little Mac. That's funny.
A Nintendo tarot card reading would be insane.
Don't need that.
That's basically just like the who's your main in Smash question.
Yeah.
At that point, that is the tarot card.
God,
yeah.
King Dedede is my main in Smash, so that's going to be awkward.
But I think personally, like my social link with Corey, I think that's like a level 10. Like I think it's really strong and everything. As much as we talk, laugh, and sometimes I guess I get on Corey's nerves sometimes.
Sometimes,
but he loves me and
daily.
Stuff. I don't get on your nerves daily. I think our social link would be a 10. I would say.
Maybe. Our next question comes from Shane Kelly from the Discord. He asks, "What games will Nintendo release with a new console when the new console comes out? Hopes versus Dream List." I mean, obviously, I would love to see the third game in this Breath of the Wild trilogy that I'm making canon right now.
I think that's a fair bet.
I mean, I would like to see Hopes versus Dream. Man, I would love to see like everything come out at once. I mean, not all at once, but I would like to see them have a cadence the way the Switch was, right? Where like every month we get a new game that's a banger. You know, obviously not every game is made for everyone, but like we still go back to 2017 and look at that. March Zelda, April Mario Kart, May Fire Emblem, June ARMS, July Splatoon, August Mario plus Rabbids, September. What was September that year, Ed?
Mario Odyssey.
No, Mario Odyssey was October, right after Fire Emblem Warriors, and Xenoblade in December.
I thought it was September.
Was that the Link's Awakening remake?
No,
that was 2019.
That was 19. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the.
I don't remember.
That was the bomb year of nonsense because you had Fire Emblem in July, you had Astral Chain in August, and then you had Link's Awakening, Dragon Quest, Demon X Machina. You had insanity in 2019 in September. I think it was a month of where all the consoles was just had hit games, and if you were literally trying to get everything, you were spending $300+ some dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was literally insane that year.
yeah.
I know.
Plus, you got like small games like Snipper Clips and that
Mhm.
Street Fighter 2 remake and Wonder Boy, right? And SteamWorld Dig 2, you know, one two switch you could throw in there, I guess.
Well, I think my hope would be a Arms 2, and my dream would be a Chrono Trigger remake exclusively for their next console.
In the 2D HT remake, HT
Whatever they
2D.
want to do, I would go for it. I would go for that. But if they literally want to do like a 3D Trials of Mana kind of look to it, go for
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
I would say my hope would be obviously a Zelda at launch, but that would probably be my dream. If a realistic hope would probably be depends on if we get like an Odyssey 2
Mhm.
and on the regular Switch. If we don't, then a new like mainline Mario game would probably be the most likely launch title. You could because then you're kind of alternating between Zelda and Mario for the last console launches.
yeah.
I wonder will Mercury Steam be brought by Nintendo by then?
Mm, I don't know. Nintendo's not really in the vein of buying studios, right? I mean, they bought a
Yeah.
couple, right? But those were out of necessity, not out of like, well, we got money to spend, we're gonna
Yeah.
buy this. Uh, and obviously they needed a movie studio for their Mario movie, right? Like a
Mhm.
distribution house at least in Japan. So I don't know. I still think
Mhm.
we're gonna get some sort of Mario Odyssey sequel for Switch, and
Mm.
whatever their experiment with Bowser's Fury was is going to be the Mario game on the new console. Um,
Maybe.
What
Yeah.
if that Bowser Fury one was the reason why we got the Kirby uh multiplayer one with the cake and stuff?
yeah, yeah. I don't know. I mean, Nintendo knows what they're doing. I think they've learned a lot from the Switch,
Mhm.
moving from the Wii U to the Switch, and I know they clearly don't want to make that any sort of mistake like that again. Although I think the Wii U had a awesome launch lineup. That's just me though. I mean, I bought like 10 games at launch. I saved up so much money for the Wii U launch. I bought almost every launch game. I was so excited. Uh, by the way, New Super Mario Brothers U, underrated 2D Mario game. Just throwing that out there. I wouldn't mind seeing another 2D Mario game, but I don't think they would do that for a launch game.
Yeah, not for
So
a launch game. Maybe at like the 1 year mark or something like that. But
yeah, yeah. You know, it'd be cool is if they remade some Mario 2 and gave that to me, but
Super
they
Mario
won't.
Brothers 2. Oh
Mm,
yes.
delightful. Our last question comes from Luscious Brody via Discord.
I love you, Brody. I miss you.
Um, he says, "How do you guys feel about the return to the more classic support type conversations?" And this is about Fire Emblem Engage. Three houses seem to garnish so much attention, somewhat in part of the deeper involvement of shaping your roster, both on a build level and support level. Do you think it was the right move to go with this more hybrid style?
yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Three Houses, although it was a great Fire Emblem and one of my favorite games on the Switch, it was definitely appealing to a different audience than a Fire Emblem audience, right? Like I think it was trying to capture that Persona crowd to some extent.
Hmm.
Um and
Oh, that's another Hope Tokyo Mirage Session too.
yeah,
Hmm.
God, Tokyo Mirage Sessions is an awesome game. Uh but yeah, I mean I think it was the right move to go with this hybrid style. David, you agreed right away. What are you thinking?
I I I think everything that they've done in this Fire Emblem and Engage so far that I have seen is a positive, is a step in the right direction. It is again, it's drawing so many comparisons to Three Houses because that's the game that I think a lot of newer Fire Emblem fans joined with. Whereas there's I think you have the generation of Fire Emblem fans before Awakening, you have the ones that joined with Awakening or in the 3DS era, and then you have ones that joined with Three Houses. I think there's a lot of people who are looking at Three Houses and compare that came in with Three Houses and comparing Engage to that, and it's not that. I think it's fine. I think this. I think, like I said earlier at the start of the show, Three Houses was kind of like a deviation from what you expect, what the normal was, and it wasn't bad. I think they brought in new fans. They learned some new ways of doing support mechanics. They learned ways of making the characters something you could connect with differently. This is, but this is the way that I think it works best. I love it this way. It's not. It's balanced between, I feel like, excessive combat, where it's, you have some games where it was just, I mean, go to Shadow Dragon, where it mostly is just map after map after map, or then you get to Awakening, you get it a little bit more, you get the overworld, you get your base camp, you get things like that, and some of the other games do that. And then this, though, I think is striking that balance really well between having that hub world like the Academy, or like we had in Three Houses with the Somniel, but not being so intrusive. Intrusive isn't the right word. Significant. It's there. You can do it, but you don't have to do it. Whereas in Three Houses, you had to kind of go and do these things to do what you wanted to do. Almost everything on the Somniel is optional. You can dive into it as much as you want, or not at all.
Yeah. And like I said earlier, that how I will say this. I think Intelligent System wanted to go back to this classic style to remind people how Fire Emblem somewhat started and everything. It still offers the permadeath stuff, but it really wasn't too much about relationships. It was always about the strategy in that game. And then when you got done, you were able to do little side stuff here. But as the series evolved and was kind of, in a sense, handed over to Koei Tecmo, Intelligent System, I feel like, because they was just, they were looking at it, just kind of producing it on the side and Overwatch and everything. It kind of felt like Fire Emblem was getting away from what it was, with all the talking, having these social connections. And yes, Awakening was a little bit like that, but they had to do something with Awakening very differently because that was close to the end of the series. So it had to evolve in a way that was going to be able to make the series continue. Luckily, Awakening was successful. And then after that, Koei Tecmo kind of took the reins over and stuff. And it became more of, instead of it being a strategy game, it was a strategy slash sim romance kind of game and stuff, because you had to make the connections with all of these other peoples in order to progress and be able to get through all the fights that you were going to get through. And it felt like that became more important than what Fire Emblem used to be.
I mean, if you go back to, was it Genealogy of the Holy War? That was the first game where the romance mechanic was actually imperative, because you had children in that game, and that's those children, you, depending on who you bonded with, who you partnered your characters up with, had different traits, different things, just like they did in Awakening when they brought the kids into that one. And so, I mean, that's always been a part of it. I think it took over in some senses, in certain entries, like, Fates. I don't think it made it to the American version, but I know the Japanese version had face petting. So that is a little weird.
That was a feature they took out of the American version.
In Three Houses or Fates?
That was Fates.
Fates. Oh, okay.
That'd be even creeper in Three Houses.
Because I thought
Tea Time means something different in Three Houses.
Didn't Fates in Japan have the red light district?
There is another part of the game that was missing.
Yes.
Okay.
There was something else. Yeah. But that part took over, I think, in a sense. And I think scaling it back and changing that environment completely with Three Houses, and now it's taking what they learned from that in Three Houses and putting it into Engage has really helped make a good balance between all of that. And that's, I think, part of what is making this game so successful and why it's easily one of the best games in a long time.
I kind of have a feeling that intelligent system and Koei Tecmo kind of switch in a sense. I have a feeling that Koei Tecmo is producing Codename Steam Part 2.
Look,
And
that game, as much as I want a sequel to Codename Steam, I don't think we're getting that. I wish we were, but I don't think we are.
It could be a random, here's a fun release. I could see it.
Here's the thing, though. To me, Codename Steam is on the wrong console, right? I mean, look how well Valkyria Chronicles does, right? That game was essentially a weird steampunk American history version of Valkyria Chronicles, right? Like, it was just on the wrong console. So, I mean, look at Valkyria Chronicles on. I mean, the PSP obviously was a little bit different than the 3DS, right? But like, Valkyria Chronicles really didn't do well until it came to home consoles, right? So, and the Switch is the best of both worlds. So,
I just feel that I think with Koei Tecmo learning how to do a strategy game like Fire Emblem, I think it's beneficial to them that even if they don't work on a Nintendo property, they know how to make these games. So if they want to make a Fire Emblem inspired game of their own, Koei Tecmo has the education and information on how to do it, and everything. So, but with this classical style, with them going back to somewhat the old school, but yet still feeling modern with Engage, I think it was kind of the right decision and everything. And like I said, it introduced people to the old style of this series. And if people don't enjoy it, I think they would let Nintendo and the Intelligent System know and stuff. Hey, we missed that simulation romance stuff, that partner stuff. Like that was a really big thing. Would you guys be able to bring it to the next game and stuff? And I think Nintendo will pay. Hopefully, Nintendo and Nintendo System will pay attention to it and bring it back. And it also literally depends on how the Japanese feel about it too, because of the Japanese players feel strongly that they missed the sim like thing. Nintendo would definitely put it back in that system in the games for future games. So. But is that all, Corey, for questions?
Yep, that's all we got.
All right, everybody, that's going to be it for Nintendo Power Block. David, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Where can people find you, and how can people check out your content?
So for the most part, you can find me pretty easily over on Twitter. I'm at DaveWayne09. I have officially, as of this coming week, I have the longest running fanfiction series on ZeldaDungeon.net and The Arrow Without a Hero. It is the 69th entry is being posted this coming Friday. So yeah, it is, and that's a little over halfway now through the entire story. So there's still a long ways to go with that. There's a soundtrack out there. If you just search The Arrow Without a Hero on YouTube, it comes up. You can find some old recordings of me narrating the first few chapters out there too, somewhere still on Spotify. I've been trying to find time and get it set up to where I can go back and re-record all those as an audiobook. But now there's so much written and stuff like that. I'm hoping to have some kind of announcement with that coming this spring, early summer, shortly before E3. There may or may not be something happening around that time. But more on that some other time. Just stay tuned and we'll see. So,
all right. Thank you. And with that, everybody, have a great week. Have a great weekend. Hopefully, you are enjoying Fire Emblem Engage. We want to know what you guys think about it. You can hit us up at Power Block Podcast. check the stuff. You guys know where you can find us and everything. With that, everybody, have a great week, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time on Nintendo Pop Block. Bye, everybody. Woohoo!
Goodbye.
Nintendo Pop Block is a product of Boss Rush Media, LLC, and is recorded from our headquarters in Akron, Ohio. The show is hosted by me, Edward Varnell. My co-hosts are Corey Derrick and Cordy Yikes. You can find Corey at I Am Corey in HD on Twitter and Instagram, as well as hosting the Boss Rush Podcast and Tower Casuals, the Destiny Podcast. You can find Cordy at Cordy_Yikes on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. You can find me at That Richard Cole on Twitter and Instagram. Follow Nintendo Pop Block on all social media platforms at Pop Block Podcast. You can also follow Boss Rush Media and Boss Rush Network on all major social media platforms. Join the Boss Rush Network Discord and Facebook groups to interact with other friends and fans. Visit bossrush.net for more great content and patreon.com/bossrushmedia to learn how you can support this show. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.